right. And we are live. Thank you everybody for tuning in so far. We are here with Perreo del Futuro today.
Hey.
So I'm going to start by just having you guys say hi. Do you want to introduce yourself really quick?
Hi, my name is Saturnsarii, and I run Perreo Futuro.
All right. Do you want to pass it down? Do you want to say hi?
What's going on? My name is Ali Acosta, representing Forest Fires Radio.
Shout out Forest Fires.
We got the whole lineup over here that we're going to be playing at the ground on Saturday for Perreo Futuro Perreo Apocalíptico, the third edition of our Halloween party. And one of our headliners for the night is...
Corredor, CRRTR, whatever you want to call it.
Hi, my name is Cujo. I'm representing Lava City.
Also on Forest Fires.
We're lit. Sexy ass lineup.
So great to have all of you here. All of you are huge influences here in Miami and also internationally. But yeah, thank you for being here. You guys just heard some really, really cool sets from Cujo and Corredor. Thank you for tearing it up. And they're also going to be playing at the ground this Saturday if you guys would like to attend. But yeah, we just hosted a giveaway. Shout out to Laura, who won the 2 tickets to the ground. And we're here because Saturnsarii is a very, very influential person here in Miami and has really grown with, it's true, and has grown with Perreo del Futuro. And yeah, we're kind of just here to highlight that and how far you've come. And do you want to give us like an introduction to what inspired you to start Perreo del Futuro?
Yes. What inspired me to start Perreo Futuro was just not wanting to kiss butt, to be able to play the music that I wanted to play, to highlight the sounds and the artists that I want to listen to in the club. And growing up in Miami, it's like you party like underage. And so a full circle moment for me here was that like I wanted to be able to create a space where I could play and listen to the music that I wanted to hear when I was younger, or just like when I go out, you know?
Yeah, definitely. When I first started going to your parties, it definitely felt like nothing else that I had seen in Miami, and
Nice.
it was very interesting to see, just like how that kind of came to life at Supernatural House. And yeah, that leads me to my next question too. Like, how did you start organizing at Supernatural House, and even before that, have started organizing before that?
Well, my first experience organizing events was at Supernatural House, so shout out to Logan, Mother Monica. They were the ones who pushed me to really start doing it, and they encouraged me. And Queer Parties is a collective from New York that started. They've been throwing events for over like 15 years now, and so Logan kind of took me under his wing and really showed me the ropes and gave me the guidance I needed to, and the space, because Supernatural House was in the warehouse part of its growth when I started, and now they're opening up a nightclub, like a proper nightclub. And so yeah, like I DJ'd there a couple times, and he was like really impressed with like the sound and the crowd I brought. And I actually had a fallout with the people that had booked me for that party, and so then I was like, you know what, like maybe I should be throwing events here, because there's some people that don't really respect the art or the craft, and they just throw parties for the clout and to do some not so good things. So it's like I wanted to kind of shift that dynamic and bring some new energy to the space.
Was there like a particular moment that made you realize that, like a specific party that you went to, or like a memory that you have that made you realize you wanted to make that change?
Honestly, I feel like I started DJing, and within 6 months of me DJing, I was like, I need to start throwing my own events. Just because, like, I guess like when you go to a party or when you're booked to a party, there's gonna be moments where you're like, okay, this is fire, but like this is what I would do differently. And then for me, like luckily the timing of everything, like Logan had offered me an opportunity to do an event, and like I was just kind of in this space like, okay, like I really want this vision, like I want to do a Perreo del Futuro, like my sound encompasses a lot of different genres, and so I don't really get the opportunity to show people the range that I want to play, so I might as well just do my own party.
And you have like a lot of different themes for the parties that you do. Like there's seance, and there's also like cosmic breaks.
Yeah.
So can you like speak to that and just how you kind of like come up with a vision for each theme?
So it kind of stems from like what I'm listening to. Like if I'm really feeling like a project or a certain artist, I'll kind of be like, okay, like I know Perreo Futuro is not just reggaeton. Like it can be like electronic music, and I throw in like dark wave reggaeton, and I'll throw in like breaks, like drum and bass edits of reggaeton songs. But sometimes people get a little confused, and so I kind of use Perreo Futuro as like this umbrella term, and then under it, to satisfy like all the different sounds I play and the different people I want to book, I just kind of create a party that can satisfy that. Yeah.
And is like what to what extent would you say that you're influenced by Miami when you come up with like your party themes?
I am extremely influenced by Miami. I feel like growing up in Miami is very unique. I think like even just the radio, you hear all types of music. And then with my parents and just like the circles that I surround myself in, like Miami bass, tech house, techno, and like all those different sounds kind of influence on reggaeton, dembow, salsa, bachata. Like you hear it all. And so growing up, like you kind of like for me at least, I got like exposed to all these different sounds that definitely influenced my taste in music. And so with that comes the opportunity to create the type of party that I want. Or even with my DJ mixes, like I try to incorporate all different types of sounds that I know will make the people in Miami dance, you know?
Do you have any particular artists that you're really influenced by?
Like Miami artists.
Miami or artists in general?
Yeah. Miami artists, there's a ton. I'm definitely influenced a lot by Nick Leon, Coffin Text, Bitter Babe, and also the Optical label. The guys from there like Opal and Near Dark. And from international, I'm really feeling like Entrañas' music, Corredor's music. Yeah.
Wow, it's crazy because like you're really bringing all of your influences like out here to Miami.
Yeah.
Because you did bring out Entrañas
Yeah.
and so many like other iconic artists to the scene. But yeah, can you kind of also speak to the aspect, because Perro del Futuro has become a really like inclusive space, especially for like more marginalized communities, like LGBTQ communities. But yeah, you make a huge effort to really make it an inclusive space. So can you talk about like what influenced you to make that decision?
Well, I mean, starting in Supernatural House, which was a queer-owned venue that prioritized throwing inclusive parties, and I've always included like drag queens, like drag performances with the raves, just because like I like the element of a live performance, and also the ability to just include all types of artists is my main goal. So because I started in Supernatural House, I've had like this inclination of like making the effort to include queer artists and queer performers, just because Logan's also very big on that like wow factor of like performance art. And yeah, I just feel like there aren't like Miami's a super machista type of space, and so a lot of the reggaeton clubs don't really book like queer artists, and a lot of the like techno clubs that exist here don't really make an effort to book. And if they do book queer artists, it's like internationally known. So it's like at the time when I started, there was very few people other than like internet friends that were actively going out of their way to create queer spaces. And it's not even just about like labeling it queer. It's more about the energy and, the freedom of expression and just being inclusive overall.
And were there like any particular challenges that you faced when you were making that like a priority of the parties?
Honestly, I feel like I have a very privileged experience because I started at Supernatural House. I didn't really experience any challenges there because that was just the vibe. That was the expectation. And I think, luckily, whenever I activate a space, I'm always very clear with the venue owners about like what type of crowd, what type of sound, what I need from them in terms of like security and things like that. Like I make sure to debrief them and ensure that like everyone's on the same page about how to treat people, and that security is not here to police, but rather to make sure people feel safe to actually party and let go. And luckily I have not had any real like struggles when it comes to hosting queer events, because I kind of take the effort to ensure everyone's like, you know, on the same page about it.
Yeah, I think that's something that's super important, especially, well, you've come like a long way from DIY, but with DIY parties,
DIY.
that is something that is like such, well, it can be like an oversight in a lot of cases. And it's difficult with like if you're working with a certain budget, sometimes you can't like necessarily get the staff that you want. But yeah, that's still regardless like something that should be prioritized at any party. So yeah.
And also, it's like, even if you don't have the budget, I'm sure there's people like your friends that are down to volunteer to be like people that monitor the dance floor, to work alongside security, and to just like provide an energy or the work to ensure that if people are feeling uncomfortable, that like they have someone to talk to or they have a point of contact. So it's like, even if you don't have the funds to like hire the right people, like I'm sure there's people willing to step up to the plate to kind of fill in that role.
And when you were first organizing, like past Supernatural House, did you have any issues with providing like economic support for venues? Or were there any like challenges that you faced with that?
Yes. I feel like most event organizers will say that like it's a love-hate relationship, because especially when you're doing DIY, like illegal raves, or you're activating a warehouse, like you need a lot of capital to even make it happen. And luckily, I've had like a partnership with certain ticketing platforms like Shotgun, where even if I don't have like the full funds up front, if the pre-sales are doing well, I can kind of take that out and make progress with like certain things I need to purchase for a party. But yeah, that's always been my biggest challenge, because I don't have like the resources to get sponsorships, or people don't want to sponsor like an illegal party. So it's like there's always that risk of losing money. There's always the risk of not having the funds up front to be able to rent the warehouse or provide the sound and lighting. So that's why community is really important, and making like friendships, not only for the sake of like making the party happen, but genuinely supporting other people's businesses. Like shout out to Victor with Wave Ray Productions. Like, he is the underground hero. He has literally helped me so much with like providing sound and lighting for events when I couldn't really,
Shout out Tamsin.
Tamsin, literally too. Tamsin with the CDJs. The man's come through every time.
And I know now, and well, I feel like you've always kind of like really been like committed to getting international artists. But now you were telling me earlier about how you were, getting visa sponsorships, and can you kind of like speak to that aspect of what you've been doing?
Yeah. So I recently started this like talent agency with my friend Fede from Isa Terror, and we like when essentially what it is like we are a talent agency that is focused on getting Latin American artists their work visas so they can do proper US tours. And so the inspiration behind that was that I reached out to a lot of artists, including Corredor, a while back, and the aspect of them not having the paperwork to come here and work had been like a challenge, like a roadblock that I faced a lot of times. And so Fede came up to me with this idea, and at first it was like, I don't know if I have the bandwidth, but then I realized like, no one's really doing that right now, and no one's doing the work to help international people, artists, really like to get into the U.S. market. And so Corredor is the first person that we signed with, and yeah, it's been a learning process, and I'm excited to see what comes from it, all the different artists that we tend to work with. Yeah.
And how do you see like collectives like Perreo del Futuro that are committed to that mission of providing an inclusive space, while also still having it be a very like big production? How do you see that like further influencing like the Miami music landscape, and kind of like how genres blend together and create like these different subcultures?
Yeah, I mean, I just hope it inspires people to not be afraid to do weird things, like weird parties or concepts. Like if you have a good idea, like to just make it happen. I feel like even with the resources that you have, or I mean, I plan to just, if people need help finding venues or lineups or things like that, like if I can't do an event for a certain artist, I always like pass it down to someone else that may be open to booking that artist. And I just hope that it just inspires people to be more collaborative in their efforts, because Right now, what inspired me is like the ability to, if I can't financially make a production happen, like I know I can collab with another collective and then we can make it happen and create like a new vision together, you know? So yeah, I think that answers that. Right.
No, yeah, and it's definitely like evident how hard you've been working. Like now you have all of these like monthly residencies. I don't know if you want to talk about any of them, like at the corner.
Yeah, Perreo el Pasado. Yes.
Shout out para el pasado.
That actually came to fruition from a petty internet drama. I was being petty. But like people were complaining that Perreo Futuro is like, why is it called Perreo del Futuro if there's no Perreo? And I feel like the people that actually come to my parties know that I always play reggaeton, whether it's like neo perreo or some like, you know, I'll play like the classic stuff too, but I always make sure that someone's at least playing it, whether it's like opening or closing. And so because of all that like backlash that I was getting, I was like, you know what, like, si la gente quiere perreo, le voy a perreo. And then like I have a residency at the corner, and I would just do like open format things there, but the timing was too aligned, and I was like, you know what? Let me throw a reggaeton party at the corner because no one has done that before, and it was great. It was like a really great turnout. People loved it, and it's free. So it's like I do a monthly free party for people to be like, can I say slutty? Slutty perras, putonas, you know.
Yeah, I think now you're like notoriously known for being like one of the only people that can bring out a crowd on like a Thursday or like a Tuesday night, literally like any day of the week.
We're lit, and I love everyone that comes out, and that is what I want, like to be able to create different types of events where people can, like, it satisfies all different types of crowds, whether it's free, whether it's like a niche type of genre, or more commercial, like to be able to listen to the music you want with the crowd that you know you vibe with is like the goal, right?
Yeah. And you also do a lot of like community work. Like if you want to talk a little bit about Perreo Combativo. that you
Yeah,
just did
so
recently.
yeah, we just did a fundraiser for Yes on 4, and well, Yes on 4 sponsored the party, and the fundraiser was actually towards abortion funds across Florida. And so we were giving out like free contraceptives, different resources, and we made merch. Like it was really fun to like get involved in a community aspect, and get people like informed on like what's on the ballot coming up. Like it's not just the presidential campaign and the election, like there's also things at a local level that people can be involved in. And it was really rewarding to see people come together to fundraise money for pro-abortion, and because it's like something that's so real. And if like besides that, we've also done like mutual aid fundraisers too, and I'm glad that like people like Call to Action is doing that too, like more consistently, and Fundraver, because we need just more people that like, partying with a purpose, you know.
Yeah. It's like the intersection between just art and using it as a form of escape, which is, you know, in real life people are dealing with these problems that they're voting for or against. So it's nice that like you're kind of contributing to that intersection and allowing just like an easier form for people to become more aware of like how they can affect their own lives.
That's so true, because it's like on one hand, like you want a party to be an escape, you want people to kind of like really let go and like forget about their worries on the dance floor and just really like get into it. But then there's also like the power of bringing people together into a space, like to really capitalize on that, and for a mission that's like for the greater good, not just for like the goal of partying, but rather than like, you know, let's get talking about what's happening in our community.
Yeah, exactly. That's super important. And moving on a little bit towards you and your DJ career, I know 3 Points just happened. This was your second or your third year
It
playing?
was my third year playing 3 Points, yeah. And I
How
went
was
back to
that?
back with Steffi, SDRV. It was really fun.
Woo! Shout out to Steffi. She was here like a
Shout
few
out
minutes
Steffi.
ago.
In her vampire outfit.
Yeah, her and Alejo. But yeah, how was your 3 Points experience?
3 Points was fun. Every time, like I've been going to 3 Points every year. That's except the first year because I was like in 8th grade. But yeah, I've been going every year, and so like to be able to play it now is like the most full circle moment for me, because it's like one of the few festivals that really involve so many local artists and like a very curated, eclectic lineup of like bands, rappers, electronic artists. And so yeah, I'm like, I had a good time, even though the rain was kind of a vibe kill a little bit. The Saturday was also like really beautiful too.
Yeah, I feel like Saturday it was almost like difficult to walk. Like there were so many people. It was insane. But yeah, I was there for like some of your set on Friday. But you're right, the rain did kind of like come down a little bit.
Yeah.
But it was still really nice. Like it was nice to see you and Steffi kind of like come together again because I've known like both of you for a while now.
Yeah.
And since the beginning, you guys have always just like your styles have really blended well together.
Yeah.
And yeah, you like call her your rave sister.
Yeah, that's the
so
first
good.
person I ever went back to back with. Actually, at Prohibida, the first back to back person I ever played was Steffi, and so to go back to back with him again at 3 points was like such a full circle moment. I was like, let's go, we're gonna do great
Yes.
together.
Shout out Steffi, also past host of EKL. And do you have a favorite stage that you've played since you've already played 3 years so far?
My favorite stage that I've played was probably Boiler Room. That was crazy. I'm not gonna lie, that was honestly the best like gig I've ever had outside of opening for Tokisha at Soho House. That was like also amazing. But Boiler Room was really great because even though I was opening, to see all my friends like come out early and like dance behind me, and I don't know, like usually I get really nervous before a gig, and for that one I just like locked in. And so yeah, that was probably the best one.
Yeah, you can really tell that you locked in. Like
I was locked in.
every single song, like one after the next, it was just like banger after banger. It was so good.
Thank you.
And you've also done like some really really good like mixes on international platforms. The first one that comes to mind is like Rinse FM.
Shout out to Jyoti.
Yeah, shout out Jyoti. How does it feel to just like have such a bigger audience like tune into your mixes?
It's a little surreal to be honest. Yeah, that was a super last minute thing that she had asked me to be a part of, and I remember I was like working my restaurant job, and like she messaged me and she was like, "Hey, I want to highlight Perreo Futuro on Rinse FM, but you have to submit and mix like tomorrow." And then like you guys helped
Yeah.
me like record it here at WVUM, and yeah, it just feels really great because it's like it makes me feel like reassured that like what I'm doing is the right thing, and that slowly but surely, like I don't ever do it for the attention, I don't ever do it for the like opportunities I'll get from it. I just do it because I love to do it. And so when these opportunities do come by, like I don't know, it's like hard to give me to give myself the credit or to really acknowledge my accomplishments. So then like when it does happen, I'm like, oh shit, I mean I'm like, oh crap, that really happened. You know.
No, yeah, you definitely deserve your flowers. Like you do so much for Miami, and just like bringing that international sound here, like with Corredor and Entrañas and all these other artists that you've brought here, like really nobody else is doing it like that. So you deserve like all of the recognition that you've been getting.
Thank you, I'm blushing.
And speaking of Jyoti, it's a little known fact that last year threw a really great 3 points after party.
That was crazy, yeah, with Skrillex and Jyoti.
Yeah. So how did that come about? Like, did you just get hit up by Jyoti or like Skrillex, or how did it happen?
So I actually haven't talked about this publicly, but Skrillex's team kind of recruited me for it. Because Skrillex had this like ongoing thing last year, and he's still doing it now, where he was kind of doing like this underground rebrand, because like he only like headlines festivals, so he doesn't really get to play like more alternative or yeah, just a different sound. Like when people see Skrillex, they expect him to play a certain sound, and so he was like on this kind of underground tour, and every major city where he had like a festival gig, he was trying to connect with an underground collective to throw like a special guest type of party. And so they kind of recruited me through Perreo Futuro, and they were like, we want to like play the party, but the only thing is like you can't announce that it's him. And so I was like, that's not a problem, like I'll make it happen. But it was a challenge trying to find a venue because it was 3 points weekend, and I was scared. I was like, okay, like I have to come up with a really good marketing idea to get people there. And like I just made Perreo Misterio, because I was like, oh, we have a special guest, but you can't find out unless you pull up. And the hype around who could it be, because it was 3 points weekend, people were like rumoring it was Tokisha, people were rumoring a bunch of different things, but no one guessed Skrillex, because like why would he be at a Perreo Futuro? But and then it ended up him, and like he was playing like Baile Funk, and it was a back-to-back with Jyoti, and she used her like platform to kind of send an email out the day of the show to be like, playing here pull up, and that really helped too.
I think that was really cool, like him participating in that kind of like different style of party, because I think it also just like shows how like you can have that intersection even with genres that you don't really think would go well together.
Yeah.
And he like does that so much, like especially with his remixes. He mashes up like so many different genres, and like you wouldn't think it works, but it does. But yeah,
Shout out Skrillex.
shout out Skrillex for real. I also wanted to ask you, do you have any upcoming plans for Art Basel with Perreo del Futuro?
So I actually don't have any upcoming plans for Art Basel yet that I can speak on. I'm sorry, guys.
That she can
But
speak
I
on?
I do have December plans. I'm throwing another party at the ground December 21st, and it's gonna be like a little early birthday party for me. And we have Rosa Pistola for her debut in Miami.
Wow. Wow, that's crazy. She's based in New York or
I
somewhere?
believe she's from she's not from Mexico, but she lives in Mexico.
She lives in Mexico. Okay, cool. Wow, that's really crazy. And do you have like any other upcoming parties at Over Under?
At Over Under, not yet. We just started the slut pop party, like the recession pop kind of hyper pop type of vibe.
Recession pop.
Recession pop, right? Because that was an era. Trashy pop, chef's kiss.
Indie Sleaze revival.
Yes,
right now.
I'm here for it. Blog House, give it to me. But yeah, my next party is going to be Club. I can't say the name because I can't say it, but Club CUNT, and it's going to be at Willie's November 22nd.
Wow. Oh my gosh. It's like been nonstop for you.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit. I'm learning how to balance it all now, though.
Yeah, we were talking earlier how you're at a point where this has kind of become like the main or your main like source of income, and also like the main thing that you dedicate like your attention to. So what has that been like, kind of the shift between first doing it without really knowing like what you were doing versus now where you have like all these resources and contacts and everything?
Yeah, the first time I started DJing and throwing parties, I loved it so much that I just quit my corporate job. I quit my salary job, and I was like, I need to do this. I got to figure out how to do it. And because I was like so hungry to hustle and make it happen, and Logan had given me the opportunity to do bi-weekly parties at Supernatural House, it worked because like I was just riding the wave of all the attention and how everyone was like, this was like 2021, 2022. So it's like post pandemic, people are still trying to get their foot in the door and all that. So, but I was struggling. I was not making money. And then I had to get a job. And now that I'm like back to doing this full time, I feel like the biggest lesson is like learning how to budget, how to budget my expenses, and also not getting frustrated when things don't work out right away. Because I've run into a lot of like opportunities, and then the door closes on me, and then I'm like, oh, like what's the point? But then I realize like it's not the right time right now, and that the opportunity for this to really work the way it should work will come down the road. And so like learning to take the no's and things not working out as an opportunity to like get creative on ideas and upcoming events and all that.
Was there like a recent experience that kind of made you realize that everything kind of just comes when like the right time?
Yeah, when I was trying to book Cardo Pusher, Safety Trance, I had been trying to book that man for like 2 years. And every time something would come up, like I got COVID one time, and like I was like really down bad, and I was like, dude, I have to cancel this party because I have no funds, and I can't make this happen. And then there was another time for like Wynwood Pride that we tried to book but that didn't come to fruition. And then like that was something that I was like, damn, like when is it gonna happen? Like, am I doing something wrong? But then after, when it finally happened for Pride this year with Call to Action, it was a collab. That rave was so fire. Like, it was so good that I was like, this is when it needed to happen. And it kind of gave me that, like, realization that, like, sometimes you may not know when the opportunity is going to come to fruition, but when it does, you will know, if that makes sense.
That was a really insane party. That was in the same warehouse that you had Siumata.
Yeah, Siumata and Amor Satir.
And Amor Satir.
So good.
Yeah, that something about that venue. Just
something about that venue, yeah. It's feral.
It really is.
Yeah.
But yeah, kind of just like moving on more generally, what do you see, or what vision do you have for Perreo del Futuro, either within Miami or just like beyond that?
I see collaborating with more collectives. Like, I definitely need to make a party happen with Forest Fires. Definitely need to make a party happen with Lavosity. I kind of paused a little bit with collaborations, but I'm excited to like create new concepts too. Like, I think a big plan for me is to bring Perreo Futuro back to New York and kind of do like different satellite parties. I'm gonna be doing a Perreo Futuro in Guatemala City too, which is where I'm from.
Wow.
It's gonna be my first international party. Yeah.
Ooh, round of applause for that. That's crazy.
Yeah. So just trying to find the balance of like building a team, a solid team that can help me do things here while I'm also kind of planning on other things. And yeah.
Congratulations. That's honestly a huge accomplishment, and I'm sure it must feel like even more meaningful being like where you're from.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane.
Shout out to Ghetto Witches. They're making it happen. We're collaborating out there.
All right. And kind of just to wrap things up, what is the next thing that we should be expecting from Saturnsarii?
I feel like y'all should always just be on your toes. Expect the unexpected. Because
Facts.
I got my hands in a bunch of different things, and I think that I'm really excited to fully step into this role and embrace like the responsibility of, I guess, being a big influence. And so I think now that I'm like stepping into this new chapter, I've been going through a huge healing journey.
¿Te sientes estar aquí en Miami? Es tu primera vez en Miami, ¿no?
Sí, es mi primera vez en Estados Unidos. Sí, también, o sea, llegué aquí hace ya... Llegué hace como 3 semanas ya y es como la primera vez viendo todo.
Ha sido un poco como que estás en casa, porque aquí todo el mundo habla español, todo el mundo es latino. ¿O ha
Sí.
sido diferente?
Sí, o sea, ha sido una experiencia bastante loca porque igual también creo que uno crece mucho en Latinoamérica como creyendo en el sueño americano y ya cuando llegas aquí te das cuenta de muchas realidades que, o sea, con las que chocas y te das cuenta de qué es realmente estar aquí. Y pues más ahorita que me mudé a Europa, también como que me estaba acostumbrando un poco a ese otro lado del mundo y llegar aquí es como otra cosa igual también totalmente distinta a lo que es Sudamérica, Latinoamérica, entonces es como, no sé, como cada día estando aquí es como, no sé, cosas muy locas.
¿Y cómo has sido viviendo en Europa? ¿Has estado colaborando con diferentes artistas ahí?
Sí, allá en Europa pues también estoy viviendo ahorita en Berlín y allá también organizo eventos, hago fiestas, música, pues colaboro, trabajo con amigues, pues también de Latinoamérica, sobre todo como haciendo pues como también cosas en torno a como empoderar a la comunidad pues latina, migrante y sí, o sea, como pues seguir construyendo y educando el público sobre esta música que está saliendo pues en Latinoamérica en general.
¿Y cómo te sientes de ser como una persona que está como siendo una influencia al movimiento de Latincore y a estas toda esta música nueva que es más moderna que combina bastante la música electrónica con la música latina? ¿Cómo ha
Bueno,
sido esa
pues
experiencia?
no sé, siento que ha sido bastante loco porque cuando yo empecé a hacer música realmente lo hacía solo, o sea, siempre lo he hecho por un gusto personal, por querer hacer como algo distinto, pues más por lo que en algún momento empezó a representar la música electrónica en Bogotá, que siempre era como una escena muy cerrada, como en torno pues al tecno, como a la exclusión también, como hacia los egos, también hacia el clasismo. Entonces, como que en un principio lo que empezamos a hacer con mis amigos fue como construir espacios solo para ir por la música y no como, pues que no importe cómo vas vestido, vestida, como que la gente realmente vaya solo a pasar un buen momento y no como ni siquiera ir como a hook up o algo así, porque generalmente las fiestas en Bogotá al menos son muy así como de ir allá, como a ligar o a, como a ser como pretencioso, como a show off, así como que lo que siempre yo busqué con la música en general fue como justamente solo abrir espacios y que se concentrara realmente en lo que importa, que es en la música y en compartir pues con amigos y pasar un buen momento. Entonces siento que más allá pues de cualquier cosa, como que lo que siempre hemos tratado de hacer con mis amigos y en general lo que yo busco organizando mis fiestas y haciendo música es como simplemente pues pasar un buen momento y que no sea como que no tenga nada que ver como con cómo te ves o qué tiene, sino realmente que sea por la música y por pasarla bien.
Sí, es interesante las similitudes entre lo que está pasando allá y acá, porque acá también movimientos así como Perreo del Futuro comenzaron por ese mismo sentimiento, por tratar de crear estos espacios que son más inclusivos y donde no tienes que preocuparte por todo eso que de verdad no importa, solo de la música. Y es, creo que no es así coincidencia que todo esté pasando a la misma vez.
Total.
Creo que es como un movimiento global y sí, gracias por compartir eso.
A
¿Y
ti.
puedes decirnos sobre la música que tienes que está viniendo?
Bueno, pues realmente a mí me gusta explorar mucho con sonidos, entonces siempre hago como, no sé, me gusta mucho hacer edits, jugar con samples, como explorar todos los BPMs, entonces realmente todos los días hago música y trato como de estar haciendo pues como sonidos, entonces se viene mucha música siempre.
Okay. ¿Y cuál va a ser tu próxima parada aquí en los Estados Unidos?
Bueno, ya me quedan las últimas 2 fechas aquí, luego voy a estar en New York y Austin. Voy a Ciudad de México y ya luego sigo con la otra parte de la gira. Voy para Australia y hacia luego. Y ya luego vacaciones.
Wow. También non-stop para ti. Gracias por compartir. Y ha
Gracias.
sido un placer tenerte aquí también.
Sí, gracias por la invitación, en verdad, muy cool conocerles y
No, sí,
pues nada.
el honor es de nosotros, porque tú eres un icon,
Oh
de
my God.
verdad.
No, sí, ya nos veremos el sábado para pasarla bastante, bastante bien.
Sí, el sábado. Sábado.
Yeah. Sábado gigante.
Sábado gigante for real. All right. Any closing statements from you besides, you guys can expect to see everybody here this Saturday at the ground. If you guys haven't gotten your ticket yet, it should still be up on Dice, and also you can
Yes.
see it on Perreo del Futuro's Instagram page. But yeah, that's gonna be really exciting.
Yes. And we have a promo code, Espanto, for some dollars off of the final price. And yeah, you guys are in for a treat. Make sure to stop by. We're playing from 11 to like 5, 6 in the morning. Hopefully, we got to keep the good vibes going. And
We're gonna have to turn the lights on.
yeah, literally, they got to kick us out. They got to kick us out. But yeah, stay safe this Halloween weekend. And thank you guys for tuning in. And yeah.
Yeah, thanks so much for being here again. And shout out to everybody here.
Shout out to Ale Acosta, Cujo, Hassan, Corredor, Sylvia.
Oh,
We're lit.
current goats, future goats. Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. And make sure you keep it locked. This has been, I think, the first special Halloween edition of EKL. So thank you for tuning in.